Hey y'all, it's Yvette, and this is going to be sort of a special TheYvetteRene wants to say, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't share everything that was going on in my life. You guys know I'm an open book. I like to talk about the things that I feel are the human condition, and while everyone may not agree with me, that's okay. You may also get to see Spooky Scout here in a little bit because he's over here messing around with everything on my desk. So anyway, when I came back after having, gosh, at least, what, a 6-month hiatus from YouTube, I did sort of hint at the fact that maybe there had been some health issues. And so I'm going to sort of talk about those things and probably a little more in depth about one certain aspect of it that I think doesn't get talked about enough. And if you resonate with any of this, please feel free to comment down below. I'm gonna make sure that I'm extra vigilant with checking the comments from this particular video because I think it's important. And I'm getting a frog in my throat, so I'm gonna go ahead and have a little sip of coffee. So, to sort of kick things off, I'll just go over a couple of the things that happened that were, well, they definitely affected me a lot, but they're sort of ongoing and things that just happen. So, and happen, by the way, as you get older. This is what I mean, I'm sure men are told the same thing. I don't know, maybe they're not, but girls are told this all the time. So first, I started realizing that I was going to need to get out there and get a full-time job again. And this happened in like October, November of last year, so about a year ago. And I got a job working in a sew and vac. And so we sold sewing machines and vacuums for a little while. And the great thing was that I was able to go live once a week from the shop on Facebook with them. And so that was fun. It was that particular part was right in my wheelhouse. And so I was really excited to be doing that. I started there mid-November of last year, and series of things happened. First, Jim's mom passed away, and that was like right around my first day that happened, and so it was a little strange for me. And so that happened. And then I want to say like a month or so later, I don't remember the exact time that it happened, but about a month or so later, gradually, into like all of this, I was tired like all the time, and it should have rung a bell with me. It really should have, but I had so much going on in my life that it didn't click what was going on. And so from a few years ago, you guys might remember that I had a situation with low iron, and that stems from having the gastric bypass back in 2009. And the low iron is basically the only thing so far that has been a side effect of having the gastric bypass for me. And so, yeah, so I got low. Basically what ended up happening was I found out that I had low iron again, and I ended up getting diagnosed with that very early January. And because I was with a whole new set of doctors and a whole new insurance and all of that kind of stuff. I basically had to jump through the hoops again to try to get an iron infusion. So I wasn't able to get the iron infusion until probably, I want to say it was in April. It took a while. And after I got the iron, I felt amazeballs. It was great. So if you're ever feeling like really tired and run down, get your iron checked, because you never know. And for me, it's not that I'm anemic. I'm not anemic. I just don't store iron properly anymore. And so my iron stores were very low. The iron that I had on hand, so it was really weird because unless the doctor or PA is used to seeing that, it's kind of weird when you have such low iron stores but you are not anemic. So anyway, there was that. That was a big part of what was going on. Okay, so then back to sometime in December, I woke up one morning feeling like I had slept wrong. You know how like sometimes, you know, you sleep wrong and oh, you've got this crick in your neck and you can't get comfortable and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Well, it was exacerbated by the fact that I was having to drive to and from work for over an hour every day. So each way was over an hour. And so to be so uncomfortable, because at first I thought, oh, it was just that one day, you know, so you take some Advil or whatever, Aleve, whatever, your painkiller of choices, and you figure, you know, it's going to gradually go away. Well, instead of it gradually going away, it just kept getting worse until finally, like, there was this one day, and it wasn't very long after. I want to say it was maybe like 3 or 4 days after I woke up with what I thought was a crick in my neck. And I had pain that were shooting down my right arm all the way down to my fingertips. And it was constant. It wouldn't stop. And that's what the hard part was, because it was being in constant pain. And in the beginning like that, it was so bad that when I was at work, I said, that's it. I'm going to go and get a massage. I thought I needed a massage. So, I went and I got a massage, and the massage was great, but it did nothing to alleviate the pain. So obviously, it wasn't muscular. And so, so then after that, it was like maybe a day or two later, I was literally in tears at work. And I thought, I'm going to go see a chiropractor. Somebody told me that maybe go and see a chiropractor and they might be able to help you out. Maybe you have like a pinched nerve or something like that that's going on. Well, they were pretty close, but no cigar. So I got to the chiropractor, and I had an appointment for, I don't even remember what time the appointment for. I want to say it was like 11 a.m. And I mean, I got there at like before 10. And I said, look, I know I'm way early. I'm just going to sit over here and cry until he can help me. And so the chiropractor actually came out, and he sat next to me, and he said, I can see that you're in a lot of pain. He says, and I'm pretty sure, he says, I can't tell you because I don't know. It's not like I have seen an x-ray or anything like that, but I think you probably have a pinched nerve in your neck. And I'm like, oh. And he says, and there's really nothing that I can do that's going to fix that right away. He says, if I were you, I would go straight to an emergency or like a clinic, a walk-in clinic or emergency room right now and see what they could do to help you. So I left there and I went to a walk-in clinic. and they tentatively said that they thought I had a pinched nerve. Because seriously, my thing was, especially like when I was driving in the car, I had to keep my arm up in the air, and it would still hurt, but that would take some of the pain away. And so I drove my car like this, and I would just take my hands and I would like hold on to the moonroof and let my arm hang a little bit, and then just kind of lift it if I could, or I would put my hand back here, like I would put it behind my neck. And so anyway, because of all of this that I was telling them, they told me, they said, well, we're pretty sure that you do have a pinched nerve in your neck. And, they gave me an injection of ibuprofen, like an injection. And they said that it was going to help. And unfortunately, it never did. And they gave me a prescription for muscle relaxants. And that was pretty much it. Well, no, they gave me, so they gave me a prescription for a muscle relaxant, like a certain kind or whatever. And they told me to, like, put heat on my neck. Okay. And they sent me to, they set me up with an appointment for physical therapy. So I started physical therapy within a week and a half, something like that. I took the first appointment I possibly could. I started going for physical therapy, and they did dry needling and stretches and stuff like that. And that would help for like a very short period of time. The dry needling was really nice, but it wouldn't last. And so when I went to see the doctor, I said, well, they told me I could have surgery. And they also told me that that I should go for an MRI. Okay. So I got the appointment for an MRI. It was approved with my insurance. And I went in for the MRI, and that basically showed that I had a bulging disc between my C6 and C7 spine. And so I asked them, I said, so then at this point, am I able to get painkillers? And everyone pretty much just danced around it. But the answer was basically no. You're just expected to live with this pain until something happens that it goes away. So to say that I was miserable constantly is an understatement. I was kind of hoping that, I know that I understand everything that's going on in this world today. I understand their reluctance to give people narcotics of any kind. I really do. I agree up to a point. Like I even asked, I said, is there not a way that I could get something in an extremely low dose that I could take once I got to work, so that it would take the pain away enough that I can work and not be completely distracted by the fact that I was in constant pain. And then it would wear off so that, because I worked 8-hour days. So I'm like, by the time I leave work, it should be out of my system enough that I can just drive home, right? And then maybe take one so I can go to sleep. Or maybe not take anything, because I was basically going to work every day. Because what am I going to do? Not work? I didn't have any sick time. I didn't have, or not that much. I didn't have any vacation time. I was apparently not, so I didn't have a choice. I had to work. And it was absolutely terrible. And to try to fake it like all day. So I would just fake it all day. I would be at work and I would just work. And I would drive home and then I would take muscle relaxants and go to bed. And that's how I existed for months. And so if you want to know, because I've been getting emails from people, and I'm sorry if I didn't give a very satisfactory answer to your questions, because people have been sending me emails and asking me what my diet secret was. And that's basically what it was. I was in pain 24/7. And I would, so I would go to work every day. And I would come home and I would take muscle relaxants and go straight to sleep. And then I would sleep until I had to wake up in the morning to go back to work again. And I did that for a long time, way longer than I feel like I should have. But eventually it did get better. There was some exercises that I was given at physical therapy that ended up strengthening my neck and back in a way that it would support my spinal cord. And so once I got to that point and it got better, I was much better. And so, in fact, for all that time that I was in pain, I was sleeping in a recliner. Like, I couldn't even lay down in bed. It was so uncomfortable to do so. I couldn't sleep in my bed. So I was just sleeping on the recliner every night. And so anyway, I finally got to the point where it wasn't hurting like it was. And now today I do have pain still, like in this shoulder. And I can occasionally feel it like in my neck, but it is nothing like it was. Like, I can live with this. I can, if it does get bad enough, a day or two, a month or a week, whatever it is, I can usually take Aleve or Advil and it'll help to feel better. But it's definitely nothing like it was. So there's that. And so that started getting better, and that was good. Now, amidst all of this, for a really long time, I feel like I've been saying, and maybe I've been saying it to you guys as well, and maybe only to my closest friends, but I haven't been myself for quite a while. And by that, I mean, my brain is different. And it's very frustrating, and I couldn't figure it out. When we got to Denver, I decided that I was going to start seeing a therapist. So I started going to therapy, and it was good. I was able to talk things out, so I highly recommend, if you feel like in any way that you need it, just do it. Just try it. And if you don't feel like you're clicking with that first person, try someone new. Because you're going to find somebody, and it helps. It really does help. So with the help of the therapist, she suggested that maybe I had adult onset ADHD. And when I started looking up what that meant, which, by the way, it's much different for girls than it is for boys. Boys tend to get hyper and girls tend to crawl into themselves. So when I started looking into it, I thought, wow, I think I may have figured out what's going on. And so I started kind of working with that as a diagnosis without, I mean, you know, I was seeing a therapist. And so technically, I mean, you know, I guess unless you're seeing a psychiatrist, maybe you don't get a real diagnosis. I don't know, whatever. I'm good with Dr. Google, you know what I'm saying? So, I put it this way. The things that I was looking into to do was not going to hurt for me to do. So I started doing that. I started looking into what it is that maybe is going on with me and how can I maybe fix it. So I went on with this for a while, and I kept thinking, well, and this was all happening like in the midst of this whole neck trauma, whatever we want to call it. So during all of that, I had started to see a psychiatrist because that was required from your insurance company in order to have like a diagnosis or whatever. Okay. So when I first started seeing the psychiatrist, I went to a learning campus, like a learning hospital. And so first I was matched up with this wonderful young lady who was becoming a psychiatrist, and she was great. But then, well, you know, she graduated. Either that or she had to take another class, you know, so then you get transferred like to a new person, and they wanted me to like start over, and I thought, I can't do this. I just can't do this. And we still hadn't even come to a conclusion of what it is that exactly was going on with me. So I thought, no, this is, as much as I support teaching and, you know, I mean, because they have to learn somehow. I completely get that. It just wasn't going to work for me. So I quit seeing the psychiatrist and then changed my primary care. And so I had a new primary care, and she's from Louisiana. So we kind of like connected right away. It was really great. So here I was having a lovely primary care. And at some point I said to her, you know, I was seeing a psychiatrist and it didn't work out. And I think that maybe I have ADHD, and I'd like to talk to someone about maybe being diagnosed and figure out what I can do going forward. And she's like, oh, well, we have somebody here who deals with mental health. And I said, that would be perfect. So I made an appointment to see this person, and I went in, and that very first day I sat down with him, and I'm talking to him about the things that have been going on in my life over the past, 3 to 5 years, and this slow progression into this person that I don't even recognize as being myself. And he says, just let me stop you right there. He says, you may very well have adult onset ADHD, but he goes, that's possibility, but you were definitely bipolar. And I just sat there dumbfounded, because this runs in families. And by the way, I've already spoken to my mother, and she knows that I'm going to be talking about this, and she's okay with it. Okay. And it runs in families. And my mom has been diagnosed bipolar since she was around, well, her mid-30s, approximately. So that's what I've been dealing with as well, is learning that that is what has been happening to me. I, just as a little bit of history, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety when I was in my mid-30s. And I've been on medication for depression and anxiety since then. There was a brief period of time when I was living in Australia that I was not on depression meds, but while I was there, I ended up having to get back on them because I just got hit with it again. And I'm not even sure why I stopped, because it's not like I feel there's any sort of stigma or any of that. I'm not exactly sure why I did. Maybe just so that I could have a clean slate heading over to Australia. I'm not sure. So the bipolar that I've been diagnosed with is bipolar 2. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2, and I think there might be another one, but I'm not 100% sure. And also, please don't come to me for any kind of in-depth analysis of what bipolar is or isn't and all of that. I'm still learning. I am not a healthcare professional. I can't, I mean, if you in any way feel like you have some sort of issue like that, please see a doctor. That's what they're there for, and they're there to help. So bipolar 1 is a designation for the people who are mostly manic. And bipolar 2 is the designation for those who are mainly depressed. And that's me. With a capital B. So, yeah. I don't really, honestly, I'm only wanting to come on here and talk about it if anybody wants to talk about it. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to. But I also want to take the stigma away from what it is. And what is it? It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. Well, I mean, there's something wrong with me. But it doesn't mean that, that I should be treated any differently, or that I should feel any differently. I'm, thankfully, in the day and age that we live in now, there is so much that is out there for us to try to help ourselves. And so it's now been 2 or 3 months. I don't remember. I lose all track of time, you guys, between bipolar, adult onset ADHD, which is still up in the air, by the way, menopause, which I'm through, just to let everybody know. Holy cow, my brain is fried. I mean, half the time I can't remember words. I forget. I can't find things. The place where I live down here in the basement, because I mean, my craft room is like where I live. If you're a crafter, and you are, if you're watching this, probably, what our craft room is. It's my sewing room, my sewing space, my quilting space, my crafting space, all of this. It's all one, and it is my home. My home is chaos. And I try very hard, for the most part, to accept it, because I haven't been able to figure out how to fix it yet. So I do the best I can to try to cope with the way that my brain works, or doesn't work, however you want to look at it. And it's been coming on for a while. And now that I go back and I look at what's going on, it makes sense now. It makes sense. And my mom has paved a way for me. She will completely understand when I say, damn it, man. Like, really? Really? It seems like every single thing that my mom has gone through in her life, I follow right up behind her. And I just take up the slack, because everything that's happened to her happens to me. It's almost like we have twin brains or something. And you know how, like, we all grew up saying, oh my gosh, I never want to be my mom. And then you get a little older and you're like, oh, I'm becoming my mom. And then you're a little bit older and you're like, yep, I'm my mom. She knows that I love her, no matter what, no matter how you look at it. Still wish that none of this would have happened to me. And I know that she wishes that none of this would have happened to me, but it did. And so now I'm dealing with it best way I know how. I started on Abilify, and I started off low, and I'm up to a certain milligrams right now. I'm not sure if this is going to be the medication that's really going to work for me. When I first started taking it, within a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, I felt like a new woman. I felt like I wanted to get up in the morning, and I was productive, and I was getting things done. Like I would do the dishes, and I was cleaning the litter box and taking care of the cats, and doing the laundry, finishing the laundry. I would finish a project. I was like, it was just absolutely amazeballs until it wasn't. So I've increased my dose a couple of times, and I had that moment, or that time period, where things were good. And now I'm back where they're not so good. And I feel like I'm just chasing that. I'm chasing that feeling. So if you know someone who's feeling like this, just know that they are trying, and that they don't want to be like this. Nobody would ever want to be like this. It is definitely not fun. That I can tell you. And so I'm just gonna keep chasing that even keel. That's what I'm chasing. I'm looking to just even out. And even though I'm not there yet, I'm very hopeful that we've come a long way. in this, and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to work with my doctors, and they're going to help me, and we're going to figure it out. So I just feel like I wouldn't be me if I didn't share this with you guys. And sort of explain me. And it doesn't define me. Believe me, I know this. I know it's true. But at the same time, it explains so much. And so I'm happy to know. I'm happy to at least know what it is and where I can go from here and how I can move forward. So I'm going to close for now, and I would love to hear from you guys if you want to. It is by no means required for anyone to talk about their own personal mental health. But if you want to talk about it, if you want to send me an email, I promise to try. It's a big thing for me to try to stay on top of emails, social media, everything. I'm trying, and I think I'm doing better, and that's all I can ask of myself right now. So, but if you want to, it would mean a lot to me to hear from you guys. I feel like I've kind of made myself very vulnerable right now. But that's okay. I still love me. I know I've got so many people out there who love me, no matter what. And I'm going to keep showing up for you, okay? And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for making it to the end. You have no idea, it means so much to me. And I'll see you guys next time. Mwah.